Hi, grade 7s. Welcome to another lesson. Last lesson, I've set for your homework for you to do the chapter test. So if you haven't done the chapter test already on your own, please do the chapter test on your own first before watching this video. Now, if you finished already, then make sure you have your chapter test out and then ready to mark your own work. I will be going through the answers in this lesson. So once again, let me remind you, if you haven't done the chapter test yet, please do it on your own first. So, first of all, the first four questions are rounding the fractions or mixed numbers. This will be fairly simple. So the first one is approximately, I would say, is 10 over 20, which is approximately half. Or let's just say it's just approximately half straight away. And then the second one, 2 over 13, that's very small. So I'd say that's approximately 0. 4 and 3/8 is very close to 4.5. So I would say it's 4.5. And then the last one, that's 8 and 13 out of 15, is closer to the next number, which is closer to 9. Okay? Then for question 5 to 8, we have to estimate the sum or difference. So 1/8 is actually fairly close to 0, so that's approximately 0. And then 17 over 20 is approximately 1, and so that's 0 plus 1, which is approximately 1. Then for the next one, 7 over 12, I would say that's close to half, so I would say that's half. And then 2 over 11, that's actually close to 0, so half minus 0 is just half. Then we have 6 and 3/10. I would say that's close to 6. And then 9 out of 16, I would say that's closer to halfway, closer to 8 out of 16. So that's minus 3.5. So the approximation would be 2.5. So 6 minus 3.5 is 2.5. And then lastly, we have 3 and 1/6 plus 5 and 3/8. So 3 and 1/6 is close to 3, and then 5 and 3/8 is close to 5.5. So 3 plus 5.5 is approximately 8.5. Okay, then we have find the sum or difference. So the first four is fairly simple. They have the same denominator, so all we have to do is add them together. So this one is equal to 6 out of 7. Then for question 10, that's equal to 3 plus 4 is 7 over 5. And then we have to change that into a mixed number. That's 1 and 2 out of 5. Then for question 11, 7 minus 3 is 4 over 10. Then we need to simplify it. That's going to be 2 over 5. Then 7 minus 1 is 6 out of 12. That simplifies to 1 over 2. That's half. Then for question 13 onwards, we have to change the denominators to become the same. So we have, this is equal to, the LCM of 6 and 8 is 24. So 5 times 3, so we have 5 over 6 times 3 over 3 plus 5 over 8 times 4 over 4 for 6. And then 5 over 8 times 3 over 3, we have here 20 over 24 plus 15 over 24. Once you add them together, that's going to be 35 out of 24. So I'm running out of space. So let me just quickly put this on top over here. And then that's equal to 35 out of 24. And then that is a mixed number. So 35 minus 24 is going to be 11. So that's going to be 1 and 11 out of 24. Then for the next one, 7 over 16 plus, I need to multiply top and bottom by 4. That's 4 over 16. That's going to be 11 out of 16. Then for the next one, we have 2 over 3 times 2 over 2 to have the denominator of 6. 2 times 2 is 4 over 6 minus 1/6 is equal to 3 over 6. And then that is the same as half after we simplify it. Then for question 16, we want to change the denominator to become 20. That's the LCM of 5 and 4. And so 4 over 5 times 4 over 4 is going to be 16 over 20. And then minus 5 over 20. And then that will be 11 over 20. Moving on, we have 17 mixed numbers. So for the mixed numbers, let me try to write smaller. Let me give myself a little bit more space so that I can write smaller. This one is going to be 2 plus 8 as the whole number plus no whole number. And then we have here 5 over 7 plus 1 over 7, which will be 10 plus 6 over 7, which is 10 and 6 over 7. Then for the next one, we have 4 plus 5, and then we have fraction plus fraction, plus 7 over 10 plus 3 over 10, which will be 9 plus 1, which is 10. Then for the next one, we have 6 plus 3, and then for the fraction part, I'm going to change the second fraction to become times 3 over 3. That's going to be 12 over 15, and so that's going to be 9 plus 7 plus 12 is 19, 19 over 15. And so 19 over 15 is the same as 1 and 4 over 5. So that's going to be 9 plus 1, 10 and 4 over 5. So I'm skipping some steps over here. Hopefully you are able to follow along. Then for question 20, we have 7 plus 2. And then we have 1/4. I'm going to multiply by 2 over 2. That's 2 over 8 plus 1 over 8. So that's going to be 9 and 3 over 8. Moving on to question 21, we have subtract 7 minus 4. And then that's the whole number part. And then the fraction part, 2/3 and 1/8. The common LCM of 3 and 8 will be 24. 24. So we need to multiply 2 over 3 by 8 over 8. So that's going to be 16 over 24. And then we need to subtract. We have 1 over 8 times 3 over 3. That's 3 over 24. And then once you do that, 7 minus 4 is 3. And then the fraction part, 16 minus 3 is 13 over 24. So we have 3 and 13 over 24. Then for question 22, we have 12 minus 8 as the whole number part. And then we have plus the fraction part, which is 7 over 10 minus 5 over 10. That's the same as half. And so that will be 12 minus 8 is 4. And then 7 minus 5 is 2 over 10, which is the same as 1 over 5. So it's 4 and 1 over 5. Then for question 23, we have 8. Now, I'm going to look ahead at this one, and I can see that 1/6 is definitely smaller than 5 over 9. So I will be borrowing 1 from 8. That becomes 7. And then this also becomes 7 over 6. So this will be 7 minus 4 as the whole number part. And then for the fraction part, 6 and 9, the LCM of 6 and 9 will be 18. So 6 times 3, 9 times 2. So times 3 will be 21 over 18 minus times 2, which is 10 over 18, 10 over 18. Times top and bottom by 2. And so this will be 7 minus 4 is 3. And then the fraction part, 21 minus 10 is 11 over 18. So we have 3 and 11 over 18. Moving on, for question 24, I'm going to change 5 into 5 into 4 and 5 over 5. And so we have whole number minus whole number, 4 minus 1. And then we have the fraction part, 5 over 5 minus 3 over 5. And so that becomes 3 and 2 over 5. Hopefully we should have no problems with adding and subtracting these fractions. So the next part will be adding and subtracting measures of time. I'm going to skip the using estimation to check. We're just going to add it straight away. So 35 plus 45 will give me 80 minutes. And 80 minutes is above 60. So once I subtract 60, we have 20 minutes left. And then we have to plus 1 hour. So that's going to be 5 hours and 20 minutes. Then for the subtract, 52 minus 4 is 48 seconds, so that's quite easy. And then 20 minus 42, we don't have enough. So we have to borrow 1 from the hour, and then we need to add 60 to the 20 minutes. That becomes 80 minutes. 80 minutes minus 42 minutes is 38 minutes. Then we have 8 minus 2, which is 6 hours. So the answer is 6 hours, 38 minutes, and 48 seconds. Then find the elapsed time. I'm not going to use estimation to check. I'm just going to find the elapsed time. So from 1:50 p.m. to 3:35 p.m. So we want to subtract 3:35 by 1:50, and so we don't have enough. So it's 3 hours 35 minutes. Subtract 1 hours and 50. There's not enough, so we're gonna borrow 1 from the hour. Add 60 to the 35, that becomes 95. So 95 minus 50 is 45 minutes. Then 2 minus 1 is 1 hour 45 minutes. That's how much time has elapsed. Then for the second one, we have 10 hours and 5 minutes. Subtract 6 hours and 38 minutes. Again, we don't have enough, so we're going to borrow 1 from the hour, and then this becomes 65 now. 65 minus 38 will be 27 minutes. And then we have 9 minus 6, which is 3 hours and 27 minutes. Moving on, we have AM to PM. So I'm going to get rid of the AM PMs, and I'm going to change 2:15 into 14 hours and 15 minutes. And so now we can subtract 14 hours 15 minutes, subtract 4 hours and 45 minutes. There's not enough to subtract, so we need to borrow 1 from the hour, becomes 13 hours. Once we add 60, that becomes 75. So 75 minus 45 will become 13 minutes. And then 13 minus 4 hours is going to be 9 hours and 30 minutes total. Then moving on to question 30, 7:25 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. Since 12 is already a bigger number than 7:25, so all I have to do is actually from 7:25, so all we have to do is subtract 12 hours 30 minutes from 7 hours 25 minutes. That's going to be 5 minutes, and that's going to be 5 hours and 5 minutes. 5 hours 5 minutes. Moving on to the first word problem. At a banquet, chicken, vegetarian, and beef dinners are served. So we have 3 types: chicken, vegetarian, and beef. Now, the chef knows that a quarter of the guests orders chicken, a third of the order beef. So what fraction of the guests orders meat dinners? Meat. Okay, meat is going to be chicken and beef. So a fourth of the guests order chicken, a third order beef. So all we have to do is add them together. So why do we need to know about chicken? We don't really need, the vegetarian. We don't need to know about that. It doesn't even ask us what fraction orders vegetarian either. So what orders beef, meat? That's going to be 1/4 plus 1/3. And so once you make the denominators the same, multiply that by 3/3, so that's going to be 3/12. Multiply that by 4/4, that becomes 4/12. Add them together, so 7/12. And so lastly, we have to answer the question. 7/12 of the guests ordered meat dinner. Orders meat dinners. Last question. Oh no, second last question. Your friend's bicycle helmet weighs 10 and 2/5 ounces. Your helmet weighs 12 and 3/4 ounces. It says estimate how much more your helmet weighs, then find the exact answer. So if we're gonna estimate, 12 and 3/4 is roughly 13, and then 10 and 2/5, I would say that's roughly 10 and a half. And so once we take the difference, that's going to be 13 minus 10 and a half will be 2.5 ounce difference. Approximately 2.5 ounce difference. And then when we actually calculate it, we have 12 and 3/4 minus 10 and 2/5. And so that will be 12 minus 10 as the fraction part. And then we have 3/4. We're going to change the base to 20. So multiply 5. That's going to be 15 over 20. And then subtract, we have to multiply by 4. So that's 8 over 20. And so 15 minus 8 is 7. So we have 2 and 7 over 20. Is that pretty close to 2.5? Then I would say that's very close. Okay, it's 2.5 and 2 and 7/20 is very close. We're only 3/20 difference from the exact answer. So last question, question 33. You use 2 hours 48 minutes and of a 6-hour videotape to record your sister's school play. Oh my goodness, we are still using videotape. This book is so outdated. Who still uses videotape these days? But anyways, if you don't know what a videotape is, it is one of those. It's called a VHS. Okay. It looks like it's this black box, like this, with two circles here, and then inside there's tape. Okay, so it looks like this. So it's kind of black in color, and then it has this sort of thing. And then at the top, it has a flap. It has a flappy kind of thing, where you put it into the TV, and then it will play the video. So that's what a videotape is. But anyways, moving on. 6-hour videotape. That's how much recording time there is. And if we use 2 hours 48 minutes, how much time is left on the videotape? So it's going to be 6 hours and 0 minutes. Subtract 2 hours and 48 minutes. We're going to borrow from the hour. That's 5 hours and then 60 minutes. 60 minus 48 is 12 minutes. And then 5 minus 2 hours is 3 hours. So we have, lastly, don't forget to answer the question, how much time is left on the tape? There is 3 hours and 12 minutes left on the tape. Full stop. So that's it for this lesson. Hopefully you've got most of the answers correct. If you get any answers incorrect, please do make sure you understand where you went wrong, and then try to do it again yourself so that you are correct. Don't just skip over it. Don't just check the answer and then, oh, I'm wrong, and then you move on. Don't just move on. We always want to improve ourselves, understand where we went wrong. Was it just a silly mistake? If it was a silly mistake, why did you make such a silly mistake? A lot of people tend to skip over and say, oh, it was a silly mistake. Oh, it was a silly mistake. But then if you constantly make a similar type of silly mistake, it's not a silly mistake anymore. It's actually a bad habit that you do, and you have to correct yourself. Okay, so that's it for today. If you need to go back, you can always move back in the video and recheck the answers, and then I will see you all next lesson.